Welcome,
He's
everybody,
oh
to
oh wait, hold on. Are you
today
starting?
is Wednesday, November 17th. This is the iBUG Android Insight call. Here we are everything Android from the Alexa devices to the Google devices to your smartphones to your tablets. We talk about everything that has an Android platform. So I want to say welcome to everybody. To know that you're here, that means either you have an Android or you're interested in Android, but we are here to discuss and answer any questions you have and to support each other. So, first of all, let's get a little housekeeping done. Just remember this call is being recorded, and just to know that you can always access these recordings on our website, ibugtoday.com, under the iBug Android Insight tab. And you can also access us on YouTube as well. But like I say, always remember we do not raise our hands. Just when someone is speaking, we just ask that you be respectful. Wait till there's a lull in the conversation. Please say your name and wait till either myself, Ava, or my co host, Hershey, recognizes you to speak. And that's it. If you have any loud background noise, please mute yourself, self mute yourself. If you're on your computer, it's Alt A. If you're on your Mac, it's Control Shift A. If you're on your Android phone, it's in the bottom left. If you're on the tablet, it's in the top middle. If you're on the iPad. So I think that's all of my little housekeeping. I will turn it over to Sandia to talk about some of the upcoming iBug events.
Hey, thank you, Ava. So real quick, let's see. Tomorrow on Thursday for Clubhouse, we're having a Clubhouse event. It's called It's iBug's Life. And there we're going to be talking about making turkey and all the sides. So that's going to be lots of fun. So if you are good at making turkey or eating turkey, come check it out tomorrow on Clubhouse. That's 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock. Then after that, we have Trekkie Talk on this same Zoom conference line from 8 to 9:30, talking about Discovery Season 3, Episodes 5 and 6. And then on Friday, we have iBug Night at the Virtual Movies. We're going to be watching Witness starring Harrison Ford. So come check that out. And that is all we have going on for iBug. We have another iBug event. So thank you.
Yeah, so thank you, Sandia. And Hershey is my co-host, and
Is that
we all
Central or Eastern time?
Central.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Well, good evening. This is Hershey, and I'm from Central Florida. And I heard some interesting stuff to talk about tonight, and I really want to know about some of that Manta stuff. I think we should let the cat bag, out of the bag, kind of thing. But that's my opinion anyway, and hopefully everyone is enjoying their evening, and hope to get some good questions coming along.
Yeah, and we also want to thank ACB T community ACB community for hosting our call as well. So now,
Ava, we forgot about the website. There's a website. Remember?
What website?
Okay, ibugtoday.com/Android Insight. It's simpler just to go to ibugtoday.com or .org, whichever fancies you. It goes to the same location. And then there's a tab called Android Insight. And under there, you'll find information to get a hold of us in case it's, within the month. We do this call every Wednesday, a third Wednesday of every month. So if we're not around to maybe, answer your hot topic questions, this, that, other suggestions, how we could improve, how we can make things maybe better, let's say on YouTube, even since we do have a YouTube channel. So again, search for iBug today. And then for our mailing list for the Android Insight is iBug, Android Insight, INSIGHT is how that's spelled at groups.io. So if you want me to spell that, just give me a shout and I'll be able to give you that information again. We'll say that once more towards the end of the show. And I think that those are the two websites. And am I missing something, Ava?
No. Oh, to join the
Oh yeah,
how to join
join us.
the list.
So you would send a blank email to, again, iBug, IBUG, Android Insight, +, subscribe at groups.io. If you send us a blank email, it will add you on our list. And if we have any cool tricks, things that come up, I know in the past we've had people trying to learn Voice Assistant, even though it's older, and then people are trying to learn the new Talkback. So if you have ideas or things you want to know, or maybe if there's tutorials, or if we come across anything interesting, that would be a good place. And then I would say if you stay active with us on YouTube, we can answer to you quicker on that side too. So there's that.
All right. So we want to say welcome to everybody, and to, I still like to do our little roundabout. So let's introduce yourself. So we all get to know each other on the line. But also, if you have an Android device and if you're new to this call, please let us know.
Jerry, San Antonio.
All right, Jerry. Welcome back. I haven't heard you in a while.
This is
I'm
Herbie
here.
Houston.
I'm not going nowhere, but I'll be back.
Welcome,
I'll be
Herbie.
back again.
Okay.
Well, this is Ralph Weiss. This is my first time joining you. I'm an 80-year-old who does not understand these newfangled gadgets, so I'm going to be doing a lot of listening.
Well, welcome, Ralph.
Well, welcome, and thank you for joining us tonight.
This is
Thank you.
Susan from Houston, and this is my first time taking part in an Android meeting.
I've heard your voice at the buzz call, so welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
This is Clarice, and I have an Android too.
Excellent.
Welcome, Clarice.
Hey, Ava.
Hey.
Yay, I got an old Android here that I messed up, and I got to straighten it out.
Okay. Well, welcome to our call.
All right.
This is Ralph Weiss again. I forgot to tell you, I have an A71 Android.
Okay. Thank you.
Hi, this is Cynthia. This is my second call. I also have an Android Galaxy S8 Plus and 9.
Thank you. Welcome. Welcome back. I know I heard more voices than that, didn't I?
Yeah.
This is Sonia from Houston.
Hey, Sandhya, welcome to our call. First time. Huh?
I have a Pixel 4a,
5.
I think. 5? Okay, if you say so. Okay.
Yeah.
And lots of A ladies. Okay, thank you.
Excellent. Thank you.
Chanel in Houston, and
You're
I
welcome,
also have lots of A ladies.
Excellent. Well, welcome.
This is Gail in Houston. I have a Galaxy S20 and lots of A ladies as well.
Welcome.
This is Foster in Houston. I have a OnePlus. I have two of those. A OnePlus 8 5G, and recently I purchased the Asus CX5 2-in-1 Chromebook that also gives you access to the Play Store to play, do Android games and apps.
Very nice.
All right.
Excellent.
Marie in Reno.
Well, welcome.
I don't have an Android device right now at the moment, but I'm keeping my options open, and I have tried Android a time or two, just haven't made that step yet.
Well, not a problem. And again, this is a perfect place to come for new, old questions. You know, Android has changed a lot. So, and your microphone does sound fabulous. So,
Oh, thank you. It's a Logitech H800. It works great.
hey, everybody, write that down because you got to sound good when you're on these calls. We're blind visually impaired doesn't mean that we can't sound good. So,
Yeah, I really
Logitech
like these
888.
headsets. They're great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
This is Shrey, and I
Hey, Shrey.
have two Samsung Gear watches that I'm trying to figure out how to get it back connected.
Okay.
Michael in Houston, I have a
Welcome,
Pixel 4.
Yes, you do. 4A.
Welcome, Principal.
4A. Sorry about messing up the date on the reminder today.
I know you guys like your buzz calls better, but ladies and gentlemen, Sandhya and Michael are our iBUG, I guess, leaders, and we appreciate them. So thank you very much for always
Aw.
keeping us, in line.
No, y'all are awesome.
All right. Anybody else? Okay. Well, I am Ava. I'm actually in Houston, and I have so many Android devices and getting more as the days go on. And so I have everything from an Alexa, the Lady A, to the Flex, to even the little mini camera they have that you can plug in, the Amazon little camera, to my Google Home and Mini, and then with future purchases that are about to come up within the next couple of weeks. I love my Androids. So
And this is Hershey, by the way. Just want to mention I am on a Pixel 4 XL and a Note 9, and we'll see what's down for the future. The Pixel 6 looks good, and I typically stick with my Samsung for Pixel devices, so we'll see where it goes.
mhm. All right. So as we said, we want to say welcome to everybody. And in this session, me and Hershey had a nice conversation where we've remembered that in the past we've had people ask about whether you can do touch typing, where you just touch the key and it automatically does the letter, or you have to double tap. Well, with the Samsung phone, because I'm running a Samsung Note 20G, and I'm going to demonstrate how to go to, Talkback Settings. I almost blanked out for a hot second.
Well, let's rewind back, Ava. We'll work through this one together. So, what Ava and I were talking about were, did you know this? Did you know that? And it led to a portion that Ava was not familiar with, just because you're not prone to go into settings of that caliber that you need to mess with every day. So, Assistant itself has settings. Your settings are settings, right? Your main phone settings. And then each app might have settings like Envision AI or Lookout or whatnot. So, the point that I was trying to make to Ava is there are so many things that we sometimes sleep on with the Google Assistant. And therefore, the discussion kind of elaborated it into, well, hey, do you know that now everybody could double tap and type or single tap and type on all devices? So then that led to, hey, well, why don't you use these assistant shortcuts to open up a Google Keep note, because it's the quickest way to say open new text note, right? And you're obviously summoning the Google Assistant by saying okay G or hey G. And once you do say that, then you would just say open new text note. And therefore, what should happen, so basically at the end of this little demonstration here, what should happen is she should be able to say shortcut and at least have Google Keep open up. And then she could demonstrate for you how she could, let's say, type something using both double tapping on each character to type or to touch to type the iOS users are familiar with it as known as touch typing. So with those two things available now on pretty much all Pixel and Samsung devices, we just wanted to do a little showcase on that.
Yeah, and the first thing we're going to showcase is how to go to the Talkback settings and to go in and change to one finger typing or touch typing. Okay. Now, in doing this, I'm gonna use the gestures. So I'm gonna do an L, which is swipe down and to the right.
Fitness folder 18 notification. Fitness folder 18
After my phone decides
camera out.
to like me.
Fitness folder 18 notifications. Talkback menu actions in list.
Okay,
Tap to activate.
so that was just the swipe down and to the right, and it's one fluid motion where you do not lift your finger when you get ready to go to the right. So
page navigation. Read from next item. Copy last spoken language. Screen search. Hide screen. Voice commands. Talkback settings.
So we go to
Tap
talk.
to activate.
We go to Talkback settings, and I would
Talkback
double tap
settings.
there.
Navigate up button out of list.
Now
Tap to activate. Tap and braille.
In Talkback settings, you want to go down to advanced.
Tutorial. Advanced settings 12 of 13.
And double tap on
Advanced
that.
settings. Navigate up button out of list.
Now
Tap to activate. Terms of
once in advanced settings, we're going to swipe down until you get to
navigate up advanced controls. Focus indicator. Custom label. Single tap activation. It's single tap typing off. Switch 5 of 9.
And it's called
tap to activate.
It's called single tap typing. Right now it's off, so I will double tap on that.
On.
And just turn it on, and that's all you have to do. When going to turn on the one tap typing, okay? So I can either just hit home and come out of that.
Home. Home.
And I'm back to my main screen. Now, Google, as Hershey was saying, Google Keeps is where you can type notes in.
So just to give you a quick brief on that, Google Keep is part of your Google account. So when you make an email address at gmail.com, you get 15 gigabytes of storage, which is your Google Drive. Then you get Google Keep, which is you could take text note, audio note, picture note, lists. So if you have a honeydew list or something like that, or a grocery list you're trying to make, it's easily shared amongst iOS users, Android users, and then you could check mark whatever you got in your cart kind of thing as you're at the grocery store. So it does have some good functionality there. There is also Google Tasks and Google Chat and plethora of other apps, but for our focus and intents and purposes, Google Keep is what we're going to demonstrate with.
Hello, this is Foster.
Yes, Foster.
Another feature I like about Google Keep, because I use that a whole lot, is it also you also have the ability to schedule reminders with the Google Keep as well. So that's another feature I like about Google Keep too.
That is an excellent point. Thank you for that, Foster. And the thing is, I know I haven't used that particularly, but we're always trying to find new ways to do things, and sometimes we forget what we already have. And Google Keep is one of the maps that is already there, ready for you to go. So appreciate that. Thank you. You want to keep on going with that, Ava?
Nope, I got you. Okay. All right, now, so I'm going to say, okay, Google.
Google Assistant.
Open
Tap to
Keep.
dismiss Assistant. Google Assistant.
Here are your results
search
for
button.
Open
Nope.
Captain.
Camera search. About my look. Camera search.
Okay.
Camera search. Home button. Navigation bar. Tap to activate.
Okay, Google, open notes.
Opening.
Showing items
Keep
1 to
notes.
5 of 5. Keep notes. Multi-page view.
Okay,
Tap to
so
activate. Page navigation available.
all you
Tap with 3 fingers to view.
all you have to say when doing this is to just say open notes, and it opens up open my notes, and it opens you up into a blank document. Now, if I type on the edit box,
Required. It may take a while. Refresh button. No matching notes. List. Labels of no match. List. Clear search button. Navigate up. Notes you add appear here. Refresh required. Refresh button. Look. New list. Keep notes. Keep notes. Tap to activate. Note open. Edit box. List item in list. English US. QWERTY shown. Showing Samsung keyboard. Tap and hold to long press. Edit. Capital R out of list. Capital T. Capital T. G. H. H. I. S. S. Space bar. This. N. N. O. O. R. T. T. E. E. Space bar. Note. Y. Yankee. U. I. S. S. Space bar is. T. Tango. F. F. U. B. N. N. Space fun.
so as you can hear, all I did was when I touch type, you leave your finger connected to the screen, find the letter you want, and then lift your finger, and it will type that letter in. Sometimes when I'm good, I'll hit the letter dead on. But that's with the one touch typing. So the only thing is you just have to remember not to lift your finger even just a slight bit, or else it will put the letter there, and then you have to do the backspace. Okay.
L. Backspace. Enter. Back button. Navigation
Okay,
bar.
so
This note is fun. Edit. Reorder list item. Not checked. Checkbox. Editing. Edit box. List item. Delete button.
I can have the
Tap to
choice of
activate.
deleting when I'm done,
Add list item. Add button. Out of list.
or add it.
Keyboard hidden. Keep notes. Take photo. Tap. Add image. Drawing. Recording.
So you have
Tap
choice
to
of where you
activate.
can add drawings, or you can add a recording to your note as well.
Take photo. Add image.
Okay.
Back button.
So
Keep notes. Add button. Feed button. Undo button. Redo button. Action button. Redo button. Disabled. Action. Keep notes. Delete. Make a copy. Send. Tap. Collaborator.
okay,
Tap to
so
activate.
as you can tell on the keep notes, once you do a note, you can go down to action, and you have a choice. You can add a collaborator, so you can send that to somebody and let them be able to edit and add things to your note, or
Send.
you can
Tap
send
to
it
activate. Make a
as a
copy.
message or a
Tap
text
to
message to
activate.
somebody,
Delete.
or you can just make a copy of
Collaborate.
it
Labels. Delete.
as well.
Tap. Make a copy. Back button. Navigate. Keep notes. Action button. Navigate up button.
Okay,
Search your notes. Open navigation draw. Single column view.
and
Signed in as Ava. This note is fun. Not checked. Not
once
checked.
you navigate up, it
List.
saved my note
Tap to activate. Tap and hold to long press.
under in the keep notes. So okay. All right, Hershey, do you want to
right.
go through the steps of, well, and in Google Assistant, because I'm a Bixby user, and I actually turned back on my Google Assistant
Okay.
with
Let me
it.
see.
But under your assistant settings, you have to go and let it know to add these commands, and you get a list of apps that will do this with you. So Hershey, you want to go through that aspect with them?
Well, which Repeat that last.
To go through the Google Assistant settings to
Okay.
activate.
So I'm gonna try to get this on my Samsung device here instead of my Pixel device. But essentially, the steps are this: you have your assistant. You go into the assistant settings. Once you're in the assistant settings, you are able to view everything that Google Assistant pretty much offers as far as home usage. So your Google speakers, your hubs, your light bulbs, etc., like how to control them and things of that nature. And what I found again when I was showing Ava this with the Google Keeps and stuff, the Google Assistant actually has a whole section for shortcuts that are pre-built into it, and then there are some that you could explore. So you would typically want to go into there's a couple different ways. The one ways that I've learned to find it is going to the Google app itself and then go to settings from there. The other short way I've also found is downloading the Assistant app by Google, which is just a app that shows pretty much the settings, but on the Pixel device it shows up as what do you call it? It kind of it brings up the prompt as if you're talking to the assistant. So you're on that screen as if you're talking to it. And sometimes while I'm flicking around, I haven't found a quick way to get to settings. So again, there's multiple ways to get there. But let me go ahead and get on my Samsung here, and I'm gonna slow her down, everything like that. And if I could get a mic check, if you could hear me clearly. We good on audio?
Can hear you. Yes.
Okay, that's assistant. Let's hope this takes me where I want.
Tap to dismiss. Turn Google Assistant widget.
Okay.
Tap to dismiss Assistant. Tap Google Assistant widget. Show Google Assistant. Just takes me where I want. Google Assistant menu. Sorry, I'm not sure if you One UI home.
Oh.
Bard mobile. Authenticator. Authenticator. Audio game. Amazon ABC. A capital access. Adobe's Amazon Assistant. Tap to dismiss Assistant. Google Assistant. Google Assistant. Hi, how can I help? Google Assistant menu button. Assistant settings.
I heard assistant settings. I went to the Google Assistant menu. Here, let me go ahead and turn on.
Speed rate 45. Thick borders off. Light sensing off. Sound feedback off. On.
I'll turn that on for that way people
Hey
can.
Google and voice match. Get hands-free help from your assistant.
So this is Android 10. I'm using Voice Assistant as my screen reader currently, but it's one and the same to get there. I'm using Ava Vocalizer Voice, which costs $3.99. If you want to get the voice, you would download the Vocalizer Voices app. You could do the same for acapella. There's also Seroproc. The voices aren't the most amazing, but for Vocalizer Voices, you will find that they are pretty decent. Now I'm just gonna quickly go through it just so you could see what's going on, and I'm gonna probably take off that sound because it does get distractive, but I'll show you through just swiping down the list just to show you the first few entries.
Personal results. Get in. Reminders. Create a music services. Your
Okay, I'm
information
gonna
and
now
focus on speech audio. Off.
turn off that
On. Off.
sound. Actually, wait.
Sound feedback. Off.
Okay.
Reminders. Create or manage music. Your device. All settings. Hey Google sensitivity. All settings.
So there's a header that's at all settings. Now, if you hear all settings, that means you're definitely in the right place. That's what you're looking for. And what is great about after you hit that point, everything is alphabetized. So swipe right.
All settings. Hey Google sensitive. Accessibility. Assignable room. Assistant voice. Basic info. Nickname. Calendar. Default communication. Manager. Continued conversation. Explore.
So what I'm looking for here is shortcuts. So I'm just going to keep swiping really quick to get to shortcuts.
Face map. Family map. Food preference. Help improve. Hey Google. Language. Music. Notes. Notification. Payments. Photo. Podcast. Purchases. Your radio. Service. Reminders. Create reservations. For routines. Multiple. Shopping list. Shortcuts. Get help with your apps with Hey.
Okay, there we go.
Assistant settings.
So now that we have found that,
Shortcuts. Create shortcuts so your assistant can help with your apps when you say Hey Google. Navigate up button. More options button. Selected. Explore. Your shortcuts. Shortcuts you might like. Your
so
shortcuts.
I'm going to go to my shortcuts because those are tabs. So whenever you do swipe right within the app, it does go into a tab format, meaning that the the first
Selected.
tab is Explore tab, which is selected.
Your shortcuts.
Your shortcuts is not selected.
Shortcuts you might like.
Shortcuts you might like is not selected either, but
Your
I'm going to go
shortcuts.
to my
Your
shortcuts.
shortcuts. Page 2 of 2.
It's page 2 of 2. That's how I know that there's some kind of tabbing or
Excuse
some
me,
kind
sir.
of. Go
Hi.
ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm Susan. This is my first time here. I was
Mm-hmm.
needing to ask you if you could slow down the speaking rate to maybe 50. It's too hard to understand when it goes fast.
That's fine. Yeah, I'm basically what I'm doing is I'm flicking through quickly. So my speech is actually set to quite the low speed, but the more
Really?
important part of the information to capture here, because things might be subject to change, right? The shortcuts are still going to be within the app. So our general point here is kind of finding the location. So I'm gonna try to give it a little speech right here, but let's see.
Lines.
So, in other words, you weren't really supposed to hear all that information if he was talking too fast. That was just to speed it up. So, I apologize if.
Paragraphs.
Let me change my
Sound
speech
feedback.
rate.
Focus on speech audio. Speech rate 40%.
Yeah, I was at 40%. So,
Shortcuts. Create shortcuts so your assistant can help with your apps when you say, "Hey Google." Navigate up button. More options button. Explore. Selected. Your
so I'm going to just scroll down with I'm just going to scroll through it just to
ride in Uber.
book a ride in Uber is one of them in this
Edit
example. I could edit that.
Edit button. New text note.
New text note. Again, what Ava was just showing you. I could edit the phrase that I want to say for that.
Edit button. New audio note.
New audience.
Edit button.
So
All.
those are all the
shortcuts.
keep stuff, but then there's specific app related things like the Uber and the Lyft or different apps that you have installed. So there is quite some things to explore and go play around with that could help you, at least in the realm of ignoring your Google Assistant. And even for your iOS users, I know that Siri has been acting funky with writing emails and other things as of late, or maybe calling people, or maybe texting. I forget the exact bug that's going out there, but I wonder if Google Assistant could be helpful for you guys on that front too. And within having the app with Google Assistant, it does follow you. So if you have multiple devices, like Shri mentioned, he had a Samsung Watch and he had, others have mentioned different phones and iPhones and things like that. You are able to still keep your settings intact with your account that you log in with. So these settings that you alter will follow you pretty much wherever you log in with that account. So that's just kind of a brief overview of shortcuts under the assistant settings. You could even ask the Google Assistant to open assistant settings by just letting it know to open settings. So if you wanted to get to it quicker that way, there is that option as well. But I'm going to now also open up the floor for you guys to ask more questions. We just wanted to kind of give you some things that we were talking about in this past week, and hopefully we could help you with your questions.
Susan?
Go ahead, Susan.
Yes, good evening, everyone. Yeah, I don't know anything at all about Android phones at all. So I'll try to keep these short because I do have a lot of questions, but I know I can't ask them all here tonight. But I guess one of the questions is, I've always heard more, a lot of good things about Samsung, that it's very competitive with iPhones. And I was wondering, is that the best selling one with Android phones? And also, if you buy a Android phone, can you buy it anywhere, say like from the Verizon store or AT&T store, that you can still go back to either one, any stores if you have a problem? And one more question, is there a accessibility phone number that you can talk to concerning any of these brands that y'all have?
Well, Ms. Susan, all beautiful questions, and they all kind of make sense back to back. So we have, I think, quite the smart crowd tonight. So I'm going to open it up to the crowd to see if anyone has any answers or suggestions for Ms. Susan.
I'm Sheila, and I just got here, and I have an answer.
Go ahead.
All right, Sheila.
I'm sorry for being late, and I just discovered this yesterday, and so I'm really excited. I don't know how many of these you've had, but yippee! So My first answer is you can buy a Samsung from whoever your phone provider is, meaning their store. There is a way to reach the Google accessibility folks. And off the top of my head, I don't remember the URL, but if you type Google Disability Tech Support, it will pop up. It'll be one of the first couple things you see. And you fill it out, and they actually call you, and they can answer your questions. You can also access them through Be My Eyes. If you have that app, it's in the technical section. And I've put it in my favorites because I talk to them all the time. The reason I was late was I was talking to one of the Googlers. True, it's a true story. I don't prefer Samsungs, although my last experience was with an S9, a Galaxy S9. It had Bixby on it, and you couldn't kill Bixby. And I wanted to kill Bixby. Oh, yes, indeed. But there are some nice accessibility features in a Samsung that are not on a Google Pixel, which is what I have. I have a Google Pixel 4 for my phone, and I have a Google Pixel 3 that just uses Wi-Fi and is pretty much my Zoom device, which is what I'm talking on right now. And so I use Google Pixels, but there are nice things that Samsung does that Pixels don't. There are things that Pixels do that Samsungs don't. I think one thing to look at is what you need in a phone. And I use Talkback. Samsungs use what they call Samsung Talkback by Samsung is what they call it. And it's very similar to, but not exactly, Google Talkback. And so the only thing I'll say to you as far as what you want to get for a phone is I guess I'd say do some research, but if that's overwhelming and daunting, and I can understand why, then if all your friends who have Androids have Samsungs and you get the same model as they do, then they can help you with tech support. And that can matter as much as anything. Because if you don't have anybody to teach you what you need to know, you can learn Android on your own, but it is a bit of a learning curve. And I don't know what smartphone you've ever had before, but they're different than iPhones.
This Susan?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, thanks for answering those questions. I've never owned a Android phone in my life. I've never even looked at one before. So that's why I keep saying I have zero knowledge at all concerning Androids.
What phone are you on a phone now?
And also, I don't know what a Pixel is, and what is the newest Android phones that's out this year. And as for the accessibility, like with Apple, at least they have a direct number. So doesn't any of these Android phones have a direct accessibility or a regular phone number for, if you have questions that accessibility can't or won't answer?
Hey, so this is Harshid. Earlier, that's what she was saying when she spoke to Google. Google Disability Support, the website for a shorter way to get there is g.co/disability support, which is the link. And what that does, it takes you to their page where you could call them, you could email them, or use Be My Eyes to connect with a Google agent, which it doesn't mean if you have a Samsung, they can't help you, but they could help you to a certain degree with accessibility needs. So that is kind of the go-to accessibility team, but does not negate that Samsung does not have an accessibility team, but it might be a little bit more difficult to communicate. And this with Google, it is meant for the accessibility aspect of things. And as far as new phones and everything else, I think we're gonna leave the mic open for more questions as well to come, because there are tons of new phones. There's a tons of new things. But again, how she was explaining it to you earlier is you have to gauge where you want to go. Sandhya and Michael both. We had a little challenge or just a little talk, and I said, hey, we all keep talking about iOSs and Androids and this, but why don't you just, show them up? This is iBUG. Show them up that you guys aren't afraid of a challenge or try something different. So they both bought a Pixel device. Pixel is made by Google. The newest phone by Google is the Pixel 6 and 6 Pro. And then you have what Sandhya has, which is the Pixel 5. And then the one previous to that Michael had bought was the 4A. Another gentleman that was joined in tonight mentioned he was given a 4 from his work, which is an excellent phone. I have a 4 XL myself. Great phone for testing. Great phone for having a full, pure Google experience. Whereas Samsung, they're great phones, but as she mentioned to you earlier, they have something called Samsung or Talkback by Samsung, or at least they make it seem apparent. It's not any different. It's exactly the same menus or structure, but it's one camp creating it over the other camp. Samsung engineers are creating that talkback and tweaking it to their UI because they have their skin on their phone, whereas Pixel or the pure Android does not. The newest Android version current to state, as we had talked about it in the pre-show, was Android 12, is the latest that is on Pixel phones. The beta have gone out for Samsung phones. So by January, February, you will see Android 12 on Samsung phones. And then what is the other growing pains of things is there have been changes that have been made, obviously, with security and evolution of everything, right? Apple has had so many changes with the recognition on the screen thing. Well, Android did something similar by adding, different multi-finger gestures. So where it becomes what is the difference between the iPhone and this, and I heard Samsungs are like this and this, and like the things that we do here derive from this. Samsung S9s, the Note 9s, they're beautiful phones. They're really, really well made. The S10 removed the headphone jack. So that was kind of like taking, the S9, Note 9 headphone jack was there, the extra slot for memory cards, all of that. So little by little, evolution has happened. With that evolution came the fact that Samsung and Google both partnered up to do work together to make it equal as far as accessibility is concerned, especially. And with that said, they have made their own, they've retired the moniker or the name voice assistant, which everyone is like, wait, isn't that like Bixby or something? Even you call Samsung tech support, they'll tell you that. And that's sad, but it's the facts of the world. And now that Talkback has taken over, it's again mentioned it's a learning curve, but it's just getting used to multi-finger gestures. Once you get used to a routine of any device, it doesn't matter iOS, it could be BlackBerry for all that matters, you will find that phone works for you in your way. Even if it's a flip phone or a shell phone, they all use Android as a base. And that's what people forget when you have your Amazon devices. The base behind it, that's why we support Amazon devices, is that it runs off of a older version that basically Amazon controls, and it's a version of Android, but it's not like Android 12 or Android 11. It's their own version. And this is other case that I want to know more about this Mantis and things like that. What progression have we learned? Because the drivers have been an issue. That's why Braille suffers on Android. And I like that more people are pushing towards this. And I've heard a person that's on this call in his state, they just say, we don't have anyone to teach you Android. You're going to have to get an iPhone. So again, I'm going to leave the stage open to people, Ms. Susan, and therefore people could ask more questions, and you'll just hear on in, and I'll answer more questions towards the end if you haven't got your questions answered, and we'll kind of go from there.
Yeah. Can I'm sorry.
This is Sheila.
Susan,
go ahead,
just
Sheila.
one.
All right, Cynthia. Yeah.
I did want to say that Samsung has one accessibility person who lives in Texas, and her name is Kendra Green. And I was not very satisfied with she's an okay human being, but I didn't feel that she knew much about accessibility.
Agreed.
I don't know how things are now. I haven't talked to her in a few years. But I will say that that there is one Googler who has a Samsung device that has Talkback by Samsung. It's not exactly the same. It's very similar though. And they are doing the multi-finger gestures too. The problem with multi-finger gestures is I'm a one-handed typist. I'm a one-handed everything. And so I'm holding the phone with the same hand with which I'm operating the phone. So I don't have 4 fingers to do this or that or the other thing. I have 1 or maybe 2 because 3 of my fingers have to hold the phone to keep it steady. And even then I got to hold it against my body. So it gets interesting. So it's you, the reason that we're not telling you, oh, Susan, go buy a blah, blah phone is because it depends on what you want to do with it. It depends on how comfortable you are with a touch screen. If you've not used a touch screen at all before, then we want to make sure that we get you some tech support and some training. There are books out that you can get in different formats to teach yourself, but so that's why we're not just saying, oh, here, get this, or but
Thank you, Sheila. Yes.
And Susan had another question.
This is Foster. Another thing too about Android is you have to remember it's an open source, so anybody that wants to manufacture a cell phone can use the Android the Android operating system. But the more popular phones and the ones that most of us prefer to use are the Pixels, the Samsungs. I don't know if Steve is on, but he has a Motorola phone. Which Motorola was one of the original Android phones that first came out. I have a OnePlus phone, which OnePlus has been out for a good maybe 7-10 years or something. But the U.S. Cell phone providers just really start pushing it in the past couple of years. So there's tons of different phones, but you have to, like the young lady said, you have to do some research and see what it exactly that it is that you want to do with the phone. I myself, I love technology, so I try to push the phone to its limits. I try to push it as hard as I can. So I'll have 3-4 Bluetooth devices hooked up to my cell phone, taking notes, listening to a Zoom call, all at the same time. So I'm gonna push the phone to its limits to see is it as good as they say it is, on top of maybe throwing select to speak on. So you just have to figure out your level of usage and how you want to use it.
This is Shree.
Go ahead, Shree.
Can I ask another question?
Yes, you may.
All right. So as I was mentioning earlier, I got a Gear S watch, and I did a factory reset, and so Talkback is not coming on. So is there a way for me to get it to at least get the Talkback to come on so that I can at least reconfigure the phone?
Anyone have any answers for Shree?
I don't know the answer for a watch, but on a phone, if you push and hold both volume keys for about 3 seconds, Talkback should come on.
And this is Sheila, right?
Yes, this is Sheila.
Okay. And yeah, Shree, the other, Sheila has this on point with the volume buttons, but in certain watches, the volume buttons don't act like the volume rocker per se. So try holding 2 fingers down on the crown of the watch or on the top half if you feel any vibrations. The screen reader may come on from you holding 2 fingers down on the screen.
This is Shree.
Go ahead, Shree.
So on my watch on the right side, I have a button on the top and a button down in the bottom. I don't believe I have a crown because it runs on a bezel. My bezel
Well,
acts as a crown.
and this is Hershey again. I would say on the screen itself, but you know how like the you have the one that spins around basically. You have
That's right.
the nicer one, the one everyone loved, but in the sense of this the buttons, I think all those buttons do. One's a menu button and one's like maybe an assistant button perhaps. But if you hold your two fingers on the screen itself, you might get a vibration haptic field that might trigger it to come back on.
2 fingers, you said, right?
Two fingers on basically on the screen anywhere. Go
This is Ava. Sherry,
Yeah.
if that does not work, what you need to do is, what phone, you have the Samsung Gear app on your phone?
Yes, I've got the Gear S app, and I've got the
Google Wear.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, what you need to do is
just one other thing. It does recognize the device. I mean, my phone does recognize that I've got the Gear S watch, but I just can't communicate what's on the screen.
no. What you need to do is go to the app on your phone. Okay, and because my watch has done that before, and if you go to the app on the phone, and if it's reconnected to it, you should be able to go through there and turn on accessibility that way.
This is Sri.
Yes.
So what I'm seeing is it's asking me to put the pin that's coming from the phone to my watch, but I can't tell what's on the watch.
Right, and that's why I'm saying to
that
get your screen
happen.
reader back on. This is actually to get your screen reader back on. At least you might try the first part. At least get the screen reader on the watch to give you that. Maybe if there is it's what it seems like it's a Bluetooth pairing code pin. You might try 000 or 111 as well to see if that pushes it out.
Is it a 2-finger tap and hold, or is it a
just two finger holding on the screen, and you'll feel like a haptic. Since your watch, I'm sure, has haptics to it, so you'll feel kind of a buzz, and it'll say, "Please continue to hold for screen reader to blah blah blah."
Okay, great, thank you.
Okay, Foster.
Which what model is it that you said? Which Gear watch?
It's the Gear S Frontier. It's the 47-inch millimeter.
S Frontier.
I have a classic and a Frontier, so I have both. I paired it.
Okay, but okay. Let me look some up, see if I can find something before we get off.
Thank
you, Foster.
Okay, thank you, Foster.
New questions, concerns?
Yes, this is Ralph Weiss.
Go ahead, Mr. Ralph.
I actually have 3 questions, but I want to give you a little bit of my background. I have a little bit of sight. I have macular degeneration, so I have not gotten into the apps or anything for the sightless people. So that's where I'm coming from. My first question, I think, is a very basic one. Does iBUG have a phone number that in the middle of Tuesday, if I have a question, that I can call?
Go ahead with question 2 and 3, and I'll sum it up all for you in one nice bow.
Okay. The second question is, someone mentioned Bixby. I've had Bixby jump up at me, but I haven't a clue what Bixby is or does. Is there a 25-word explanation of what Bixby is?
It is basically Samsung's assistant, as you would note Siri or A-Lady Echoes. So basically just the assistant that comes from Samsung. You'll find them on TVs, you'll find it on phones and other places like that.
Okay, thank you. And the cell phone I have is an A71 Samsung, and I forget the name of the organization, but it's the organization that gives you a voucher every 5 years for a new phone. I got it through National Federation for the Blind. And this I have not been able to figure out how to block incoming calls that I don't want without entering that phone number. Is that the only option I have, or is there something that I'm missing?
Okay, we'll leave it open. This is a conference call, so if anyone has answers for Mr. Ralph, and before I go off with that, for your first question, you can find information about us on ibugtoday.com, ibugtoday.com, and under there's a tab.
Excuse me, slow down. I'm visually, I am visually impaired.
Well, I'm
So
just going to
if you
explain it
speak-
and then I'll explain it again. So ibug.com, but then there's a tab called Android Insight. And then under there's a bunch, there's basically the list of like the Zoom links and even previous episodes. So earlier we had someone ask about where can we find some of this content since this is their first time. I think Ms. Sheila asked. And if you go to the ibugtoday.com or .org. And then once you go there, you'll see the home tab, you'll see upcoming, and one of the tabs will say Android Insight. And that has our information as far as joining our mailing list. So that way, if you had a question next Tuesday, like, hey, man, these people are talking about something, you could catch it there. Or if you have YouTube, like your app on your phone, search for us there. And it's the same IBUG TODAY. And then join the channel, and there's a section for Android Insight. iBug does Apple stuff, and we have a movie night on Friday. So if this is your first time, please feel free to come by this Friday to watch Witness, and like they do a bunch of stuff. So I'll be more than happy to help you outside of this call to get you sorted out with your A71 or Ava as well, or any one of us. So that is where you would find it. But to answer Mr. Weiss's last question there. If you want to re-ask.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the help.
This
Yes,
is
sir.
Sheila. I might
Go
be
ahead,
able
Sheila.
to answer. I don't know. So if an A71 is a phone with a screen that you can tap on and stuff, if you go into your phone, Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was getting ready to respond to you. I should have kept my mouth shut. Go ahead, please.
If you go into your app, if you go into your phone app and you find a phone, if you find your list of recent calls and the number you don't want is there, and you swipe one finger to the right each time to get to find that number, then you can press and hold, tap, tap, double tap, and then hold. And you'll hear this, and this menu will pop up. And one of the choices should be block this call or report as spam or something. And if you tap on that, if you double tap on that, then it will give you a little dialog box, and you'll have some stuff in there, and you won't have to type in the number because the phone already knows the number. And so one thing that I can do on my phone is it's two separate actions. One is block this number, and one is report as spam. And if you report it as spam, then you're reporting it to Google, I presume, to say that this phone number was a robocall or whatever. But if you just want to block it because it's this annoying Uncle Jack that won't leave you alone, then you just block him and you don't report spam. So that's how you should block. And then it will still show up as a call that has occurred, but it will have the word blocked after it.
Okay, may I ask you to repeat, when I see the telephone number and the recents, could you go through the strokes again, please?
So when I say double tap, it means tap, tap twice with your finger real quick, right? So
On top of the telephone number.
on top of the telephone number, but actually, let me think a minute.
Quick question. Just ask a real quick question.
It's tap, tap, and hold. I'm sorry, I was wrong. Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Are you using a screen reader, Mr. Weiss?
I'm sorry, sir?
Oh
Are
my
you
God,
using
I made that
are you using a screen reader like Talkback or?
No, I have not gotten to that. My eyes do not require that yet.
Okay.
Okay,
So
let me do it.
we got to fix the little directions here.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So I think, I don't know, because I never do it with a screen reader, without a screen reader. I think you just press and hold on that phone number. Press and hold, and then there will be a menu that pops up, and one of the choices is, like I said, either report as spam or block, and it may say both, but it's one choice. And so you choose that choice with probably just tap on it. And then when that choice reveals a box of information, in that box will be two things. One is block number, which only blocks the number. And the other one is report as spam. And that report as spam is a checkbox. And the block number is a button. And you can do one or both of those.
Okay, well, thank you very much. I'll give it a shot. I've been getting a lot of these 833 spam calls, and I'm trying to get rid of them.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry that the guy from iBUG. Do you know if Samsung A7s have the Google screening function?
It's hard to say because I think some companies are now taking advantage of it. So like T-Mobile is one of them that I know that they had their own app. To me, some of these have gotten worse. Like when T-Mobile took over Sprint, it got worse from my opinion of it. And let me give you a visual, Mr. Vice, about how to get around. Since I am partially sighted, so let's say how Mishima said. Well, everyone needs to know it in both ways, right? So I appreciate you explaining it in both manners. So, in a sighted fashion, even though I'm using a screen reader, I would go ahead and tap on the phone icon, and then once I'm on the phone icon, I would go to recents, and let's say I have a number here I don't want to deal with. So I would double tap. I would basically tap that number. Or hang on, let's see. What did I do? I didn't. You want to expand the number, and once you expand the number, you'll have something that says. What does it say? More options. It has. I think add to contact. Basically, things you could navigate or you could interact with that specific contact. So if it's a phone number that called you, you could add it to your contacts, or you can block it. You can, I think, send it as a QR code or something like that is an option as well. So I would expand it. Once you expand it, you click on that more button. At the bottom right-hand corner, you'll see block. And you just tap that block button, and then you'll have your settings to go with. And I haven't done it on mine specifically because I don't want to block this person's number because I don't know who it is technically. But you'll see the block on the bottom right-hand corner once you expand that set contact.
Does it say more or does it have the dots?
So you'd see, let's say, number 123456789 right? That's the phone number. You double tap it. Underneath it, it'll say add to contact in a heading, so to speak. Swipe right to that, it'll say call. Swipe right again. This is using the screen reader. Would be messages to message that number. Swipe right again would be video call. Swipe right again would be more options. Once you tap on that more options, and then you locate where you see that block calls and stuff. Or you'll see block calls. You could send someone that phone number. So it says send QR code to somebody, or so there are a few options. It varies by OS. So I don't want to go too deep into that. This is exactly like it is, but that's something you would want to kind of dive into.
Right, but what I'm asking is, what you're saying is that the screen reader says more options, but what I'm asking is, what does that look like visually? Is it dots or lines?
It's almost like little icons. It's like for the phone is like it's like a green phone symbol. For messages, it's like a blue square symbol for message, like a messages icon. And then for video, I think Duo's icon is there. And then for more information, it's like a kind of a information sign kind of thing. Like it's like a little miniature icon.
Okay. I mean, if he'll understand that, that's fine.
Yep.
Well, I'm going to dive into it.
Like I said, and if you give us a shout on it, when you go on that website, I was mentioning to everyone earlier to join our list, iBUG today, Android Insight, plus subscribe at groups.io. I'll repeat that in a minute. But what you're basically doing is you'll send a blank email to us at iBug today, or iBug Android Insight, plus subscribe at groups.io. So if you want to send us a quick note, Mr. Weiss, we could always get back to you and get you more information, or even do like little video recordings to get you where you need to be. So feel free. And the other thing I wanted to also open to Foster. I know he's been on this call quite some time, and if you're interested, Foster, to do a demo on your Chromecast, since we do have the YouTube channel, we'll see if Sanday or Michael will allow it on their YouTube channel. But if you send us a recording, we could at least either circulate that through the groups.io list of your recording, or we could also upload it to YouTube. So that way, if you want to demonstrate with more time and, keep it more relaxed, but, keep it within time frame, you could always send us a recording of your demonstration that way. So that way people can understand what the Chromecast with Google TV is and all of that fun stuff. So that was just a thought I had. But any more questions, concerns, and thoughts?
Well, just one more note on, a lot of times it will say more options, but now it will also say details. So more options is more on your main screen when you're looking at your phone, looking at your recent calls, or a lot of your other main screens. It's a more options is the main menu button there. But when you do as they were suggesting, you tap on the phone number. When that phone number comes up, when you swipe through it, past the call, past video call, it does say details.
Thank you for
Okay.
that. That's the word I was looking for. But yep, details.
Yeah, and when I said that you just tap on the phone, when you tap on the phone number itself and hold it, you don't have to expand it. It comes up with another menu, and that's where that block is, at least in my phone.
Correct.
So I think in a lot of ways, in a lot of situations, there's more than one way to skin a cat. And so there might be 6 ways to get to the same station, as it were.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yeah, this is Foster.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I would be glad to do the thing on the Chromecast. Like, you want to know with the talkback on, right? And
Yes, please. Because I know you've
Yeah.
mentioned for the past 2 months, and we've tried to find time for you, but we always get through
No,
different
that's
questions.
good.
And,
We'll
that
talk
way we
about
could have content for the Android Insight page on the iBug Today YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm. Also, what's the gentleman's name was trying to get Talkback on?
Shri.
Shri. That watch, it has Bixby on it, right?
I'm not sure. I know it was
Yes, it
working
does.
perfectly fine.
Okay. Because and Ava, you can probably help me with this. If you double tap the home key twice real quick, you could probably tell Bixby just to turn Talkback on for you.
Yes, you can. And if the double tap doesn't work, you really would have to go through the app on your phone and turn on the accessibility for Bixby to check it and tell it to do that. But you could easily just say, hey, Bixby, turn on Talkback, and it will do that.
This is true.
Yes.
I'm sorry. What do I have to push for that?
My watch is upstairs. There's no home button on your phone, so you would just say, "Hey Bixby" to your watch. If the Bixby accessibility is turned on, then if you just say, "Hey Bixby, turn on Talkback," it will turn it on for you.
But I can do this even before I try to pair it, because right now, I'm in the process.
It's not paired to your phone, is it?
Yeah,
No,
it's not paired
no,
to my
yeah,
phone.
no. Even without it, if Bixby is on, yes, it will do that.
So how do I know if it's on?
If you just say, "Hey, Bixby."
By pressing 2 fingers
No,
on the
no,
screen?
no. Just speak to your watch. "Hey, Bixby."
Okay.
That reminds me, I have a question. We'll finish this before I do that.
I'm done.
Wait.
Okay.
Okay, well,
Did
thank
that
you.
work or
Go ahead.
no?
I have to. I'll have to try it. I don't have it
Okay,
right in
yeah.
front of me, but I'll try it.
Try that. If that does not work, if once your phone, if the app on your phone is recognizing the watch, then like I said, under there you can go turn on some settings. But if the 2 fingers on the screen does not turn on the speech, that should do it. 2 fingers on the screen should bring it up.
Okay.
Okay. All right. We have some background
I'm
noise.
gonna mute everybody real quick.
Yes.
Yep.
Oh,
All right, everybody's muted. All right, so everybody should be able to come back.
So the question I had.
Okay, hold on. This is Sonia. Just remind everybody to please say your name before you start speaking. So let Hershey and Ava acknowledge you. All right.
This is Sheila.
Go ahead, Sheila.
The question I had is, I have a friend who has a Galaxy S9, and she's had it for years and never got the upgrades to the good talkback. She had the old Samsung voice assist and all that. And I went through and I fixed things a few weeks ago. And now she has the current talkback and she's teaching herself and she's running by leaps and bounds. It's great to watch. But when she wants to use talkback, when she wants to use Bixby, which is what she's used to, and she just hits the Bixby button and starts, trying to do something, talkback gets in the way. So I had to teach her how to turn talkback on and off. But the problem is that when talkback is off, she can't do things like Bixby will make the call for her, but then if she has to do something in the call, it might be hard to get talkback on in the middle of a call because the volumes are the call volumes then, Any recommendations?
All right, everybody. If we could help Sheila out with her question here, if anyone has any information on it, please feel free. I guess it stumped everybody.
Well, it stumped the hell out of me, that's for sure. And
it's interesting. This is Hershey, and I just got a call today about this, and this person has a 10E, A10E instead. It's an older phone. I suggest anyone with S9 keep using Voice Assistant as the screen reader. I find it more powerful than TalkBack because, I'll explain why. When you use TalkBack on S9, you cannot use 2 fingers to play and pause media. That feature is not available. The multi-finger stuff is not available on S9. Whereas on Voice Assistant, to shut off mute speech is 2-finger quadruple tap. And that will mute speech, and then you hit quadruple tap again quickly in a quick succession. I forget if you could remind everyone, what is on TalkBack to mute your speech quickly?
I don't know it. I don't use that.
Okay. Even the Samsung one, the one you taught her today.
The S9, I don't know it. But okay. I'll just say the reason I said no about the voice assist is that the voice assist is based on a version of TalkBack that's like 4 years old. And though she is not very advanced, and I don't think she'll care about playing media on her phone because she doesn't do that. And she won't care about not double tap on, she won't care about not having some features because she doesn't. But I wanted the voice assist was not allowing was not allowing me, and therefore was not allowing her to
Mhm.
move things around on her home screen. Wasn't like the actions menu, a lot of the other things in the newer talkbacks that I use to manage my home screen and manage, just life, are not available in the old Voice Assist, which is based on a talkback that's probably from Android Jelly Bean or thereabouts.
So this is Hershey. To explain what happened with Voice Assistant's gestures, I think, are more closer resembled to iOS's gesture set. So it is basically taking TalkBack, and that's where the multi-finger stuff came by. But if you have Android 10, like she would on that S9, you won't get Android 11. Therefore, you won't get TalkBack that gives you multi-finger or the two finger play pause or answer ending calls with two fingers, and they call it the magic touch. But the reason why I bring that to certain people's point of view, at least, or at least bring it to surface, is when you want to play pause media or when you want to answer end calls, typically the two finger is what people are used to on iOS, whereas on Android, when Android 11 came out, they made fundamental changes with the OS. Therefore, anyone on Android 10 cannot use that old talkback or the new talkback on an older device, fully full-fledged with all the features, because it's using the OS design to basically aid functionality. So with that, the voice assistant will cut copy text as usual. It will spell last utterance. So like a three finger double tap, I think it spells out last spoken phrase, and then triple tap copies it. So a lot of the multi-finger gestures that are available, for example, on the newest TalkBack on Google or Samsung, no matter which manufacturer rather, you will find that most of the gesture sets are identical in that sense. But in the sense of the actions menu you mentioned, that's specific to OS again. So me and Ava talked about this last night because someone had bought an A22 that I met recently, and she was asking me, how do I move this folder into my dock, into the bottom half of my screen? And yes, I would think my first thought would be, if I have TalkBack, go to actions menu or set a gesture for actions, and then you'll get, move folder or rename, or not rename, but app info, etc. Every OS, when they change things like that, the verbiage changes. So yes, you could drag and move icons with Voice Assistant by just double tapping and holding and moving it around. And it will read, item move from column 1 of whatever, or column 3.
That's really hard. I've tried it.
Right. And so that's what I mean. Like, that part is hard. But the other trick I found to do is I have the Note 9, which is basically the big brother to the S9.
Mhm.
And I use the volume up and power button to set that as TalkBack, and then use the volume up and down as Voice Assistant. So if I wanted to switch between the two screen readers, I have flexibility. The voices are the same. I just hold the quick, the shortcut keys, and I'm off and running in TalkBack mode, or I'm off and running in Voice Assistant. And the other thing I use, because I do have some site that would help, would be color inversion. So for Mr. Weiss, if when you do go through your settings, which to get to settings on most phones, just to give everybody a heads up, is swipe down, and that swipes your notifications down. On the Samsung devices, top
With
right
two
corner.
fingers. Swipe down with two fingers.
Correct. Three fingers, or however you might have your gesture set, because that may vary. Mileage may vary, because if you've had different gestures that you set for notifications, and there is that aspect. But go to notifications. In the right corner is settings, and then how Samsung does it, they basically put everything in little subsections. So connections, advanced settings, Wi-Fi, not Wi-Fi, accessibility, system updates, etc., etc. And where Pixel does it, they do something similar, but their menus look slightly different. But their settings, to get to settings, would be swipe down twice, which that will open up quick settings, and then settings will be found at the bottom of that quick settings menu.
I put settings on my dock because I didn't want to do all that work.
and that helps tremendously too. So like, there's many things people could do with a lot of devices, and I appreciate you coming on this call tonight, and we'll hope to see you next month as well. But you know,
Yeah.
it's like there's so, like you said, there's
And
so many ways to skin a cat, and we
and just
gotta
so you know, on
go
a
ahead.
I don't know about any other Samsungs, but on a Samsung S9, there's a nice little feature in the accessibility menus. If you find the section called answering and ending calls, you can make volume up be the answer button and
Right.
power be the end call button. And what we didn't realize until I installed Talkback and retired voice assist was that apparently something, maybe it was voice assist itself, I don't know, had soft set up the answer and ending call stuff, but it hadn't been officially set up in the settings. So when voice assist went away, she couldn't answer a call anymore. And we ran out of time when I was working with her, and so I hadn't had a chance to test it. If I'd known that, I would have fixed it before she left.
Right.
And so I had to grab somebody with eyeballs at her house and go, okay, do this, do this, do this, do this. And I fixed it up in like 5 minutes, but it was very embarrassing.
So thank you for bringing that point up for everybody, for anyone from Miss Susan and stuff. Android does make it neat where on Samsung phones you could answer and end calls by using the volume up to answer and then power to end the call. You just have to make sure those toggles are checked. And it should work without voice assistant because I have had Talkback on and I've been able to do stuff, but
Yeah, we
things may
set it up for
vary.
her, but something had connected the two of them. Like, I don't know what happened when she first got her phone and who installed what and how they did
Yeah.
it. But when I
Yeah.
turned off assist, her accessibility, other things went away, and so we had to reestablish them. And once they were reestablished, they're fine. They're there. And I
Right.
do think
And
I do think
and
that I
sorry,
did one. I do think I did one thing for Google Talkback and one thing for Assist, and I don't remember. I'd have to have her phone in front of me, but
right, and just to explain to you, Sheila, so like the setting about the answering ending calls, that's just a Samsung setting. It's not to deal with necessarily because like imagine someone with a newer phone, they can have
I know I
Talkback
miss
on
it.
it.
I miss it on
So
the Pixel. I miss it very sorely.
yeah, so well, you know what, G.co/disability support. Everybody, please throw in a ticket to say let's get a volume up to answer the calls because that I think is really significant or
We
makes
have.
unique Android unique, and you know it could help everybody else. I mean, I appreciate you sharing your with your situation there using one hand, and you know again, Android, it doesn't matter what disability you have. It gives you accessibility. It's just you have to work with it. You have to give it some time. Pixels, Samsungs, Motorola's, even if you have an old LG. LG came out of the market, but you know, everyone does have accessibility in mind. It's just that we need to voice our opinions or our usability with devices and make sure the right people hear it. Well, it's almost that time, but let's see if anyone else has any more questions, concerns, or thoughts.
Susan?
Go ahead.
Yeah, all this is really overwhelming. It sounds like maybe I'm misunderstanding or hearing wrong, but sounds like there's different voices to do different things. You know, like on the iPhone, we have the voiceover and speech, but we don't have to go back and forth. You know, don't have to do anything. And it also sounds like, well, first, I don't know if that's true. I mean, correct. It sounds like there's different voices that has to be used for different things on the Android. And also the way I was interpreting is like, it sounds like there's different settings for different things, which I would find extremely difficult, you know, and hard to remember. And also it is, you know, I only used the word Samsung because that was the only brand I could think of and that I've heard the most. But it just, now I'm losing my train of thought. I'm having a senior moment, but
This is Sheila. Can I try
it,
something?
it came back real fast.
1 second.
The last person that was talking, I'm sorry, I'm not good with names. She said something about installing Talkback do these things have to be installed? You know, because like on the iPhone, all these things are already on the phone. So is there a difference between these two?
So
And
this is
let me
Sheila.
1 second, Sheila, and I'm just gonna address it in the sense of the names and the namesakes. So Siri and VoiceOver. Siri is a voice assistant that is found on iOS devices. VoiceOver is a screen reader. On the Samsung side, there were, or it technically is, two screen readers because of age. Voice assistant is not what you might be thinking of as a assistant or a voice or something like that. That's the name of the screen reader. Like voice over, voice assistant, VAVO, they decided to be clever or kind of fight each other about that, and that's where they came up with the stupid name voice assistant. But anyway, Talkback is what is in play right now. Talkback has taken over everybody's sense of screen reader needs. So you don't have to really worry about, do I need to install this, that, and the other. You don't even need, because we haven't even talked about Amazon tablets, Miss Susan. So I know it's overwhelming, but I would suggest to you personally, I would say an Amazon tablet could be just fine, because you'll get, let's say, your Kindle books and stuff like that, and you'll have some similarities to an iOS device. Now, if you wanted to get an Android tablet that is like, say, Samsung or Pixel, or you wanted to get a phone, that's perfectly fine too. But just note, when we say Bixby, Bixby belongs to Samsung. Samsung's voice assistant. That is, an analogy-wise, that's Siri for Samsung. Google Assistant is Google's Siri for that matter. And when you look at the iOS settings, I find iOS settings to be a nightmare, because there could be a plethora of apps you have on that phone, and you have to go down that list. And the fastest way to do that on iOS is use the search bar and the settings app. On Android phones, everything that has an app. So if you have, let's say, the Spotify app, your settings for Spotify belong in the Spotify app. You do not have to go to settings to go find Spotify and then deal with its settings. So that's kind of the key difference there, where you might hear all these terms. And again, if you're not ready to mingle or just to buy something for $100 from Amazon, because like the tablets are $150 or something, they're fairly cheap. Pixel devices, like we mentioned, Michael bought a 4A. I think he paid $399 for it, or $350. With sales, you could get Pixel devices for $300 sometimes.
Black
The highest prices could be $2,000 with the Fold, because the Fold is about $2,000. But again, if it's not something for you, then why even bother? I have a Note 9. I love my pen. I could actually take a note down, and then I could convert it to text later on and maybe capture a number that way. But for me as a low vision user, it's helpful. For someone that's purely on Talkback, it's not useful. There's needs and there's places for everybody to go. The A models, the A71, as Mr. Weiss had mentioned earlier, that is the mid-rangers. The A71, A72, A52, A51s, those are all mid-ranger phones. And then when you have the S models from Samsung, you have the S20, S21, S22s around the corner. Then they'll throw little monikers like FE. Like the FE is like the S20 or the iPhone 20 SE, right? It's like, huh? What is that? It's SE. Okay. So the FE is a fan edition. So you could kind of think of it, it's the cheap version of the Samsung phones. For Pixel 4a, 5a, those are the cheaper mid-rangers on the Pixel side. Motorola are pretty cheap as it comes. You could get phones for $300 and lower, but when it comes problems are memory. When it comes problems are when Talkback doesn't function right, because there's not much support, and that's why we always say get a Android One device, which are some of the Motorola devices, Pixels, Samsungs, some of the LGs. They still work. They still, you still might find them, but what we have suggested and recommended is to have the least amount of issues, the easiest way to wear your sweater, and have a nice drink and enjoy yourself, rather than being frustrated like, oh my god, he told me to get Pixels and then I got a Samsung, and then there's too much thought out there, and it's, I think, what feels comfortable to you at the end of the day. And
What
go
I
ahead.
was just gonna ask, Susan, do you know iPhones? I mean, like, have you worked with iPhones before?
I've had iPhones for the past few years.
Right.
I lost time, maybe 4 or 5 years, but I have a iPhone 13 and iPad
Like I
fourth
said,
generation, and I
this
have a
is
Mac laptop. But the word tablet is a tablet. I'll use the word iPad since that's all I
well.
know.
This
Yeah.
is Hershey, and we are also running really low on time, guys. So I do apologize. But the word tablet basically just means it's the same. The gestures and all of that means the same thing, right? All the stuff you do in voiceover, you're doing on an iPad. It's the same thing. So if you do need something to test for cheap and you want something to read books and stuff, that's why my recommendation came for an Amazon tablet, because it still has a screen reader, it still has Braille input if you're used to all of that, and it's something just to learn for cheap, and just keep your mind fresh, keep your mind sharp, enjoy a nice book, or a nice podcast like iBUG today. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate y'all's help with everything.
Not a problem. And so, ladies and gentlemen, this is pretty much the end of the line. I appreciate everybody's time. And again, please join us on the socials, facebook.com, iBug Today, youtube.com, iBug Today, ibugtoday.com.org, and look out for the Android Insight. And we will see you next month. And Ava, do you got a date for next month? She might be a little twisted up there, but in any case, I do appreciate you all. And if you have any other questions, don't hesitate to reach us out on the emails and the socials. Thank you.